Well, good morning, my stitchy friends. You have found the NeedleBugg. My name is Karen, and we are here today to do a monthly update for the month of May and see just what I have been working on this month. I'll tell you what. Oh, first of all, this is a channel all about needlework, primarily cross-stitch and Hardanger embroidery. So if you are new here, welcome. I'm glad you found us, and I hope you find something that you like and will hang around. And for those of you who have been returning video after video and hanging out with me, thank you so very much. You guys are the best. So what has Karen been up to for the month of May? Well, let me tell you, not a whole lot. Stitching has been slow. What can I say? Had some other things going on, so I didn't get quite as much done as I had hoped, but there has been progress. So what you see before you is God Shed His Grace, and this is the one by Artisy. Now, I had started the one by Cross Stitch Studio, and I was going to divide that into 3 panels, but then I found this one on Artisy, and overall size is not as big as one panel would have been from Cross Stitch Studio. So number one, it's smaller, which is a big plus. Number two, I can do the whole design as opposed to dividing the whole design into thirds. So that was another plus that caused me to want to change to this one as opposed to the one by Cross Stitch Studio. It's all a matter of what can I get accomplished. So this one certainly seemed quite a bit more doable than the other one as far as being able to complete it. So, not that I'm all about completing. I do totally enjoy the journey, but it is nice to have a finish every now and again. And those have been very few and far between the last couple of years. So this is God Shed His Grace by Artisy. And yes, I know you are out there shaking your head. I know, I get it. I'm back to diagonal stitching and parking. My love-hate thing. This has quite a bit of confetti in this area, and it just seemed like the way to go. And you know, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I think charts tell us how they want to be stitched. Rather than get lost and not know where I am, this is the option that for now, I'm not going to tell you that next week it might be different. But for now, diagonal and parking is the way I'm going to go. I think that's going to be the easiest for me at this moment in time. So that's God Shed His Grace. That's number one. The other thing that I've been working on is the Hardanger Stitch Along. Let's see if I can get it all in here. Let me adjust my there we go. Here we go. Okay. So this is the Mary Hickmont sampler, and I made quite a bit of progress on this. This top row is completely finished, filling stitches and all. So maybe we want to zoom in on those a little bit. Let's just do it this way, and I'll move it around for you and then give you an overall shot when we see all of it. So this one has all the dove's eyes in, and this row's completed. This next row, I need to put the dove's eyes in here yet. And I'm really debating, do I want to put them all in, or do I want to just let some of them like plain, except for this particular one, I think they need to go in because I have a plain up here. So I don't want two plain ones underneath each other, or side by side, I should say. So this one's going to get dove's eyes, and these two are completely finished. Then we move up a row. So all the basic work is done. I just need to put in the filling stitches on this row. And again, it's dove's eyes. I may let them out on this one because that would coincide with this one. And they're not side by side. So I'll see how that looks when I get there. This next row, all the satin stitch work is done. It just needs the fillers put in. And the last row, I have one block yet to stitch and then do the wrapping of the bars. So we're almost, oh no, not we. Karen is almost finished with this. So I did not get a video done on this week. Yeah, I will probably get one done next week. And what we'll do on that is just work on filling in, wrapping bars and getting these things all filled in. And then the last video will be completing stitching this last square and getting that finished. And then it's done. And then if those of you that have been following this already know, I plan on making this into a small clutch type thing or accessory bag or something to that effect. Let me show you. I will put this together like this. So here's the front, here's the back, and then this will be a flap that will come down like this and close it all up. Now, I do have to figure out how to do that. So it may not happen right away, but that is the plan for this piece, is to make it into some kind of an accessory bag. And fortunately, it had just the perfect number of rows to do that, because there's 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and 1 for a flap. How perfect could that be? So that is the update on the Hardanger piece, and hopefully this will be finished very soon. I am planning on, I'm working on my own design, and there will be another stitch along, hopefully not in the far off future, but upcoming, that will be a stitch along, and it will be my design. So those of you who are doing Hardanger can look forward to that. Last but not least, I gave you a glimpse. Let me back out my focus here. Last but not least, Fred. Fred has received some love this month, even though most of the love went to God Shed His Grace. But Fred got his share of love too. So we'll start at the top. Here we go. Isn't he looking so cool? Oh. Yes. And we're getting down to these parts where it's going to be a lot of block stitching. So look at that. And what you see down here is the bottom. This blue is the end of the stocking. So from where you see the, let me prop it here. This blue here, now it will go up and around to make the foot. So we are working in here. There's a lot of confetti in here. This scarf is something else. It is a bear to stitch. Let me zoom you in this way a little bit. There you go. So what I thought we would do so that this video is more than just 10 minutes long is put Fred in a Q-snap and do a little bit of stitching. And because he is quite challenging down here at the moment, I'm going to do, again, some diagonal parking to get through the rest of this scarf. What I decide to do here, where it's pretty much where I could pretty much color complete, remains to be seen. But let's get I want to get the rest of this scarf done. So with that, I have him on a magnet board here, which was like the easiest way to show him to you. So let me get him off of that and get rid of the, whoops, didn't mean to knock you there in the head with the magnet board. So yeah, let's get him. Okay, is your Patoki here? Oh, update on my Patoki stand for those of you who have been following along with that and my needing the clamp tightened and yada, 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 yada. Some of you know what happened, folks, for those of you that are new, is my Patoki floor stand, would be this part, the head that holds the hoop, was so loose. I was having to hold that in place in order to be able to stitch. So I got a hold of Michael and was back and forth with him for a while till we finally decided that, okay, I would send it back. Not the whole stand. I would just take this clamp part off, send that back, and they actually have an upgrade to the stand, which is a different clamp so that you can, I believe, if I understand it correctly, you can adjust the tension of that clamp yourself so that if it gets too loose, you can fix it. You can tighten it up. Where now there was nothing I could do. Absolutely nothing I could do. It was like my only choice was to hold that in place with one hand and use my other hand to stitch, which we all know, honestly, if you got to do that, you might as well just hold the hoop. So I sent it back on March the 20th. It went in the mail. It took a month to get back to Ukraine. Yes, and I sent it just by the regular post office because, my goodness, that cost a small fortune to mail. It cost me just shy of $50 to mail it back. So, but okay, it needed to be fixed. So you know what? It is what it is. You do what you got to do, and I sent it back. They received it April 20th. And I just talked to Michael this week. It's now ready or just about ready to come back. And he will probably be mailing it next week. Yippee skippy. I'm ready to have. Oh, look at me. I'm backwards. What the heck? What? We don't want to be backwards. Oh, no, wait. That's backwards. This way's right. What am I thinking? Okay. Got to adjust a little bit here, people. Oops. There we go. Now, to get you to where I'm going to stitch, which will be right down here. Okay. So anyway, it will be sent back to me or put in the mail to come back to me next week. So hopefully, who knows, it will probably take another month till I have it back. Yeah, long process this is. But I will have hopefully something that's going to work and be able to stitch with. And it's like I said, for what I paid for that stand, I want to be using it because we all know their stands are not cheap. They are anything but. So I'm going to work over here. So let's just move that way. Or wait, let's put this back. And instead of moving the screen, let's move this. There we go. And maybe we need to come up just a little bit. Oh, I am up as far as I can go. Okay. Hold the phone here. We're adjusting. Nothing new here for Karen's videos, is it? Oh. There we go. Nothing new. We always have something. All right, we're just going to let it like that because that seems, I believe you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Because what I wanted to review is, it's a frequently asked question, is converting things. Okay, I was stitching cross country. I got stitches all over, just like this. And I want to go back to diagonal stitching. How do I do that? Biggest question I get. How do I do that? So my thought was, well, let's talk about that a little bit today. Okay. So as you can see, I have parked threads here. And what I first did is on Pattern Keeper, the first thing I did was I marked my diagonals. Okay, so you can see them on Pattern Keeper. You see my diagonal lines. And mine I have marked in black. I don't know, I just find it easier to see that way. And instead of using the colors when I have completed a stitch, I'm using just a solid color. Again, because it's easier for me to interpret what needs to be stitched and what already has been stitched when I have everything marked off in a solid color that's done, and I just see symbols when they need to be done. That works in my head better. Each of you will come up with what works for you. So my first thing was I marked my diagonals. The next thing is I look at what stitches are left in those diagonals. what is not completed, so that I have to come this way a little bit more and tilt this a little bit like this. Okay. To do, I look at what is unfinished in those diagonals. Now I have part threads. I have a needle back here, which has a thread attached to it, but I think it's one that I need to finish off. So I'm just going to bring it to the front so that I don't stitch it over it. We'll probably figure out where it needs to go. Okay. But as you see, I have threads parked up here. And that's in what would be the second diagonal. Okay. Because this is my first one. And I still have things to complete here. This is my second one. And I have threads parked there already. Now, what I'm finding I do not like to do is park threads in the next diagonal. It gets too much. They get in the way. That's part of what makes me a little crazy. So those are there. They'll stay there, but I'm not doing that anymore. So what we want to do is finish this first diagonal. So let me make this a little bigger so that you can see it. And what we want to do is finish this one. Now, you can do this one of two ways. You can go, okay, that did highlight. You can go stitch by stitch. So that means I would do that color. And I don't have my pointer. And park it in the next occurrence. Then I could do the hearts. And what I would do and what I will do in this case is do all of those hearts rather than come down the next column and have to thread just for those couple. So I would do all of those hearts. Okay, so I think that's where we're going to start. What I will do is, just because this is a dense lot of color, well, not a ton of colors, but quite a few colors, I'm going to do the parked thread first. Now, as I said, you can work this, as a lot of people do. You can, whoops, you can work this as cross country within the diagonal. You can go row by row. You can go 10 by 10, 10 inch or 10 stitches wide by 10 stitches high on a diagonal within this. You have to figure out what is going to work for you. And at times you may want to switch it up. In between, you may change your mind. Like here, I was working row by row. But since I have this parked thread, I do like to get those out of the way, just because we all know I have this love-hate relationship with parked threads. Not so much stitching on the diagonal, but with parked threads. And with constantly having to change colors. Like, on God Shed His Grace, I'm at a spot now where I think I have about 12 colors parked in a 10 by 10 square, which by the grand scheme of things isn't all that many. But when you start accumulating a lot of threads, yeah. Okay. So here we go. So I really want to get just through this area here. Okay. So with that, I am going to just park right here because I may go back to row by row when I'm here. So I will mark these off as stitched. And I parked it here. Oops, let's do that. My friend Pattern Keeper. Gotta love it. Got to love it. So I'm going to park it there. So I am going to go back and now and do, actually I want to do the solid black square next. And that is 939. And I only have 2 stitches of that. Be that as it may. And I did, for all of you that wonder, I did go back to putting my thread on cards. I know. To be honest, I got tired of ruffling through tags. I just got tired of it. And 9-3. Huh, that's a blue. That seems a little odd. But as they always say, trust the chart. So we are going to try and get one strand here, which is evading us. There we go. Holy smokes. It just seems odd that a blue is in there, but it's only 2 stitches. I don't know about you guys, but it was highlighted. It's hard to see the highlight on those squares. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I wonder, is it necessary to have that single stitch of a color or just 2 stitches of a color? Sometimes I have to wonder. And I'm still all about starting as much as I can from the front. So I do a little bit of an away and make sure that I stitch over it. Yep, caught it. And all it takes is one time to stitch over it and it's secure, you have it. And then I'm going to go right here next to this. And I believe those are the only 2 stitches of this color. See what I mean? This lends itself better to. So let's just give a look and make sure there's nothing. Nope, there's nothing else down further. There may be, I don't even see it in the next one. So we're good there. We're just gonna go here a couple stitches away. and do a little tacking stitch. And then bring it to the top and trim it off. And yes, that is enough to hold it, because as long as we catch it one time, it will be fine. So next we want these hearts, and that's 3371. So we'll put the 939 back, what's left. Granted, bags are easier to deal with your leftovers. You just pop them in the bag. But then you have to fiddle through the leftovers. This way it's right on here. Okay. Now we want 3371. So essentially what you do to get back into a diagonal, if you've been stitching another method, is you put your diagonal lines, you work one diagonal at a time and fill in those stitches that have not been completed. And then when you have them all completed in like when I have them all completed in this diagonal that I'm working on, then I will go back to the top again and come down this next diagonal. Whoops. And do the same thing until I have all my diagonals filled in. And depending on how much you have done, you may or may not get to a point where you have that straight line going this way. I mean, seriously, probably is not going to happen for me because I have lots filled in. And I may decide when I get over here a little further that, you know, I don't need to do the parking, the diagonal and the parking, because there's enough stitches to do some block stitching and just color complete. Because face it, over here, Fred's body is mostly the whites and the blues. It's this, like this part is here, where this scarf is the killer, to tell you the truth. It yeah, can kind of want to drive me to drink. And I think I just stitched a stitch wrong. I've had it marked as stitched when it really wasn't stitched. And you know what? I'm not going to worry about it because it's in the scarf. And no one's ever going to know. Shh. Don't tell anybody I said that. But seriously, no one's ever. You would not believe the number of mistakes that are in full coverage pieces that people have no clue, because it all just blends together and your eye is not going to pick out that one stitch, that one simple stitch of a wrong color in an area like this. It's just, you're not going to see it. So don't worry about it. Your eye is going to see the overall picture. And I'm not saying, oh, you can just ignore every mistake. If that mistake was, say you're stitching a person and say it's their eyeball that you're stitching, well, you might want to fix that one, because that is a place where it can significantly make a difference. But you have to use your judgment on those. If it's a place where, is that one stitch going to stick out like a sore thumb? Probably not. So do you really need to plague yourself with trying to unstitch that? No. No. You don't. Because as I said, the only person that is going to know that it even exists is you. And I'm going to pretty much guarantee you, if you do something like that today, tomorrow you're not going to know where it is. You're just not going to know. So don't be your own worst enemy. But that brings me, oh shoot, I should have wrote it down. And I didn't. And I'm using my phone to record this, so I can't look it up. But did any of you see the post? I can't remember if it was in the Heaven and Earth group or if it was in Full Coverage Fanatics, but it was in one of those. And it was about, well, let me grab my iPad. Let me grab my iPad, because I was really impressed. Okay. I was really loving what this person said. And I saved it so I can find it pretty quickly. Now, it was written about, it was in Full Coverage Fanatics, and it was written about, initially, the person that posted it here took it from a crochet group. And if you haven't seen it, go to Full Coverage Fanatics, and it's a post by Kiki LeBlanc. And this, as I said, is about crocheting, but it so applies to cross stitchers. And it says, to newbies. I was quietly sitting here this morning working on a scarf for a dear friend. It was quiet. I was sipping hot coffee, just crocheting away and thinking of you. I've been crocheting for almost 10 years. I was contemplating my next project, as if I don't have enough already. Hello, cross stitchers. I read your posts. I look at your work. When you choose to share them, I answer your questions when I have something useful to contribute, but I was thinking of all of you and have a bit of advice. And I love her advice. Slow down. I'm serious. Slow down. We all get caught up in what hooks we should use. Change the hooks to needles. What yarn is best. Change the yarn to floss or specialty threads. And so many of us want to be better faster, more perfect projects. How people react to our craft, how old we are, the stereotypes associate with what we do. Slow down. Love the process. Think about the way your hands move. Savor the feel of the yarn wrapped around your fingers. Feel the fabric of what you are making grow in your hands. Think about what you're doing. You're creating something beautiful, something useful, something beautifully unique. That is part of you. Doesn't all this apply? Think about that, guys. This all applies to our stitching. You're creating something. It's part of you. Be mesmerized by the gliding of your needle through your amazing fabric. I'm changing the words here a little bit for you. Think about what you're doing. Oh, I read that part. You're creating something beautiful, something useful, something beautifully unique that is part of you. You're doing something a lot of people can't do. You're taking a stick and string and making something beautiful. We're taking a needle and thread and making something beautiful. You're creating treasures by using one of the oldest art forms on the planet. You are doing something steeped in history and tradition. Enjoy it. Savor it. Don't rush. Here's the best part, folks. This is what I love the most. Don't compare yourself to others. And please, please, please don't feel any kind of hesitancy in sharing because you use what some might think are inferior or cheap materials. Master your skill or don't. Just love it. Own it. Be proud of it. Display it. Use it. Gift it. Do whatever your heart or passion tells you. Love the process. Feel it, hear it, see it, and truly enjoy it. Be unique. Be flawed. Every single stitch is one of a kind. Every single stitch is you. More people need to think about that. More people need to think. How often? How often? And I think it is getting better. But how often do we hear, oh, your back's too messy. Oh, that's the wrong way to cross your X. Oh, you can't do this that way. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, this is wrong. And people tend to be so quick to pick things apart. Well, all of you that have been with me for a while know how I feel and what I say about those things. And what I say is, I don't stitch to please you. I don't stitch to please the people down the street. I don't stitch to please everybody in a Facebook group. I stitch to please me. I stitch because I love it. I do floss tube because I love to share it with you. What we need to do is encourage people and support people. So, my challenge to you until we meet again, and you can post your results in the comments. But my challenge to you is, instead of, if it pops into your mind to say, oh my God, look at that messy back. Oh my God, look at her stitches. They're awful. My challenge to you is to say to that person, did you enjoy stitching that? Was it fun? Are you happy with what you've done? Did it make you happy while you were stitching it? To ask those types of questions, because that's supportive and encouragement and letting people know you care about how it made them feel. Because that's why we do this. We do this because it's relaxing. We do it because it's fun. We do it because we want to see a picture emerge. We want to see, well, as I was showing you this, God shed his grace. I'm wondering, what the heck? Why am I stitching all these weird colors? Oh, look at that. I can start to see the fence in amongst all these trees or weeds or whatever they are. But things start to emerge. Did I have fun stitching it? Yes, I did. Did I enjoy every stitch? Yes, I did. Encourage people. Don't say, oh gosh, look at that. Oh, that back is terrible. Oh, this is, no. Did you have fun when you stitched that? It looks like it was a whole lot of fun. Questions like that are what we need to be asking people, because that makes people want to do it more. Criticizing doesn't help, because we all know. What's my phrase? Come on, you know it. You know it. You can say it. I bet you can say it before I do. The only rules in cross stitch or any kind of needlework are those you make for yourself. You're here to do it for you. So it gave you a little bit of a taste of how to get things back on the diagonal. I didn't stitch very much, but as I said before, I don't like these videos to be too long because there are so many out there to watch. What I will say is I do appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. It does my heart good. I do read all your comments, so thank you for leaving them. And I would really love if you would post a comment on how did you give somebody encouragement between now and the next time I do a video. I will look at those comments and give me some examples of how did you encourage people and make them feel good about their needlework. I would love to hear it. So my friends, until next time, enjoy your stitching. Have fun with your stitching. Stitch for you, not anybody else. Do what makes you happy, because we all know there are no rules in cross stitch. Till next time, have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.